What's up? My name's Adam and welcome to the Jamsville YouTube channel, coming at you live from Nashville, Tennessee. In today's video, I want to show you 5 guitar practice habits that you think are getting you better but are actually making you worse. And stick around to the end for my bonus tip that's really going to help you. So the first guitar practice habit that you think is helping but is actually hurting you is going on YouTube and watching guitar lessons and not actually doing anything after you watch the guitar lessons. It's insane to me how many people go and watch guitar lessons and either just click off the video within the first 15 seconds, which I know about 50% of you are already gone now. So if you're still here, congratulations, you're already better than 50% of guitar players. But then even if they watch the video, they don't actually go ahead and turn around and practice it. And the thing is, it's kind of just like making yourself feel better for accomplishing absolutely nothing. If you watch a guitar lesson, but then you don't practice it, you feel like you're getting better because you're like, ooh, I did something productive. I was watching guitar lessons today, but then like no one actually notices you're playing getting better because you didn't actually work on anything, or you went and you just started working on the same stuff that you always work on. So to me, this is like the clear, most obvious practice habit that makes you think you're getting better, but you're actually getting worse because you like feel like you're doing something, but in reality, no, you're not doing anything. So I implore you, the next time you watch a guitar lesson video on YouTube, and you're watching this one right now, actually pay attention to it and actually try to implement the stuff that's in it as quickly as possible. And don't go watch actually any more guitar lesson videos except for the one that I tell you to watch at the end of this one. So the second practice habit that you think is making you get better but is actually making you worse is practicing your scales straight up and down all the time. This is a massive mistake, and even though it's important to do in the beginning, once you've figured out how to play a scale, really, you need to start actually varying it up as quickly as possible. So like, even if I just took like a basic C major scale, well, why don't you actually try playing it in thirds, for example? So starting on the first note, skipping a note, going up a third, and then going down a note, skipping a note, down a note, skipping a note. And now all of a sudden, you're actually having some fuel for creating actual musical ideas. Really, that is one of the most important parts of when you're improvising, especially. Creating something that makes sense is you want to have a pattern behind it that someone could follow, whether it's thirds or it could be fourths, or it could be fifths. Anything, it doesn't matter, but actually start creating some patterns and sequences, and you can actually make it even more complicated than that. Like if you know your scales on one string, you can create really cool patterns. Like for example, a pattern like this. That is all based on my knowledge of the actual notes on the fretboard, one string at a time, so I'm not locked in a position, and that way I can actually visualize these patterns more easily. If you want to learn how to master the guitar fretboard so you know your scales for real on one string at a time, then make sure you head on over to jamsville.com and pick up the Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course, which I created specifically to help the problem that guitar players almost always have of being lost in the fretboard, not knowing how to find all their notes in any key wherever they want, and having freedom in their soloing. So next time you learn a new scale, as soon as you feel like you've got it down, start changing it up and actually practicing it with different patterns, practicing it backwards, practicing it every single way that you can possibly figure it out, and use your creativity. The third practice habit that you think is helping you but is actually making you worse is practicing things with no rhythmic context whatsoever. So even if you actually know something pretty well, if you're not playing it in rhythm, you're not going to actually be able to execute it properly when it comes time to actually play it in a real solo in real life, or even play a song. There's so many times when people learn songs and they're practicing the songs and they're not even playing the song with the recording or playing with a metronome. Playing a song with a recording especially is like, I don't understand how people don't do this sometimes, because the recording is actually giving you the context and you're playing it for real. Like, it's like if I learned Back in Black and I just go like... No, you need to be able to actually play that thing in time. And if your time is actually good enough, which is probably only going to come because you've practiced actually a lot of things in rhythmic context, then you can actually practice in time without a metronome or any other assistance. Like you go 3, 4. Right? But the only way that you develop that ability to stay in time when you're playing by yourself is by playing it with the recording or playing it with a metronome. And same thing with actually improvising. I mean, this is kind of the cliche with like people going to Guitar Center is like they just play A minor pentatonic and they're not even playing in time. They're just going like... Like, okay, I mean, that sounds all right, but it's not in time. Whereas if I go 3, 4. Like now I'm actually playing in time. But again, I'm doing that by myself and I'm doing it in time. And you can actually count the whole time. 1, 2, 3, 4, along with that, but that only is the case because of how much practicing I've done with a metronome and with backing tracks. And of course, you need to make sure when you are playing in context and playing over a backing track that you're not playing with crap time over the backing track. You need to know what subdivision you're playing, and you need to make sure you're actually sticking to that subdivision and you're not grossly rushing or dragging and things like that. Because even though you may be playing a rhythmic context, you may be just completely ignoring the rhythmic context too. I've seen that many, many times. And that's gonna really make you worse if you can't even stick to an actual rhythmic context that you're hearing in your ears the whole entire time. The fourth practice habit that you think is making you better, but is really, really making you worse, this one is unbelievably important, so pay attention. It is not recording yourself playing until you, quote, think you're ready. That is one of the biggest, if not possibly the biggest mistake you could possibly make in your practicing. Why? Because guess what, guys? When you record yourself, just doing that by itself will actually make you better. Why? You need to actually record yourself even more when you suck at the thing that you're trying to practice. And the reason is because you might know that you're making mistakes if you're working on a song and you're like, oh, I'm messing up, or I'm playing a solo and you're like, yeah, I think I sound like crap when I'm soloing. But you can't actually process all the information in real time while you're actually playing, because a huge percentage of your brain is actually dedicated to, well, trying to play, doing all the motor coordination that's necessary to play guitar, and you're not listening to yourself at the same level you could be listening to yourself if you listen to a recording of yourself. The recording is like the only way to basically get out of your own head and see exactly what you would sound like if someone else was listening to you and they were just focusing all their attention on listening to what you're doing. There's been many times where I've recorded myself and automatically, instantaneously gotten better because not only did I hear that I was making mistakes that maybe I didn't know that I was making before or wasn't paying attention to, but it's not just about knowing you're making a mistake. You can actually hear the exact mistake that you're making. So for example, if you have like a rhythmic problem, well, you might know, oh man, I messed up the timing on that phrase or whatever it happens to be. But when you go back and listen to the recording, you know that not only did you mess up the timing, but you know, oh, I specifically dragged there, or I specifically rushed. The point is that you actually can identify specifically what the mistakes are that you're making, and that allows you to actually fix them. As a guitar teacher, to me, like over 50% of my job is just the fact that I can listen to what someone's doing and tell them what they're doing wrong so they can fix it. Because if you don't know what's actually going wrong, well, you can't take any steps to address what's going wrong. If you just know something's wrong, but you don't know what it is, well, you're kind of screwed. You're just gonna have to aimlessly keep playing over and over and hope that it starts to sound better. So the moral of the story is you need to record yourself before you're ready, and that will make you ready to record way faster. The fifth practice habit that you think is making you better, but is actually making you a lot worse, and we're all guilty of this one, including myself, is practicing stuff that you're already good at all the time. Guys, when you're practicing, the whole point is that you should be working on stuff that you suck at. The people that get to the highest levels are the ones who are constantly looking for the stuff that they can't do and working on that. One of the things that I feel I'm very strong at is my fretboard visualization and identification. Why? Because a while ago, I realized I freaking totally sucked at it, and I spent a lot of time focused on that like a laser beam. And now as a result, guess what? I don't really have to practice that anywhere near as much. I don't have to sit there and go like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, because I'm already good at that. And that would be a waste of time for me to continue practicing that. It's much more beneficial for me to, for example, work on like my country guitar playing. I'm not a country guitar player. There's people who are way better than me at that. And so that's something that I can make a lot of gains on if I work on that aspect of my guitar playing. Or I work on my economy picking. That's something that I'm not as good at as well. And that's because I just simply haven't spent as much time working on it. So I'm always trying to find things that I totally freaking suck at. And the more of those things I check off the list that I suck at and I get good at, they all combine to make me an overall way better guitar player and get me closer to that ideal version of myself that I want to be. I know that it's uncomfortable, guys, but that is the point. You need to get used to that feeling of being uncomfortable, and you have to realize that it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Stop thinking that it's not okay to be uncomfortable. You will be stuck in your same bubble forever if you never actually get outside of that bubble and practice the things that you suck at. By the way, side note, one thing that a lot of people are super scared to practice, and it is a skill, is playing live with other people. You will never get better at that, similar to the thing we were just talking about with recording, until you actually do it more. If you start playing live with people multiple times a week, trust me, you'll be very surprised at how fast you get that to be comfortable and expand your comfort zone. Really, that's what getting better at anything is about, is reaching outside of your comfort zone, spending enough time on a topic, and then now all of a sudden your comfort zone is expanded, which therefore means you're objectively better at the thing that you're working on. Okay guys, so here we are at the bonus tip that I promised you in the beginning of the video. So the last thing that you're practicing that you think is helping you but is really making you worse is thinking that you're gonna get fast in your guitar playing by only practicing slow. Now guys, practicing slow is a really, really important thing, and it can be very beneficial for learning how to tighten up your technique, like getting your picking hand very efficient, and even actually just doing this kind of thing like playing one note at a time can be very helpful. Or making sure that you're minimizing the amount of motion that there is in your left hand. Practicing slow is very important for all these things, but you don't have to do it as much as you think. Once you've kind of tightened up some of these very obvious mistakes that you need to address slow, you need to start actually playing fast in order to get good at playing fast. I think that that is actually a big theme from this video, is you get good at doing things by doing the thing. Like, if all you do is practice something else before you do the thing, you're never gonna actually get good at the actual thing that you wanna do. You need to just do the thing and then you'll get better at the thing. So if you wanna actually get good at playing fast, at some point, you do need to actually learn how to play fast and spend time actually playing fast. So if you're someone who's been practicing for a long time and practicing consistently, but you're stuck and you're not getting faster in your guitar playing, then make sure you watch this video, which I made specifically to help you out in your situation. So go watch that video and make sure you subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and until next time, listen, learn, and jam.